let's not compare that fish to the black mirror, Mary, basil, because not all carp are equal. They're not equal. You're having a laugh, mate. I can see everything, you're not catching me. Somewhere out there's a 40 pounder. A 40 pounder coming from the 80s where 20s were big, still to this day is a very exceptional carp grows over that weight, you know what I mean? Fishing 2 or 3 nights a week is easy. Fishing 1 night a week is very, very difficult, and I did it for a long, long time. Them small pressure waters are the hardest carp to catch, and that's why I do like fishing circuit waters. Never walked properly again. The difference between me and him was just luck that day. When your time comes, it comes. You know what I mean? Your number's up, it's up.
And that wasn't your day?
It wasn't my day, and it ain't today. I've still got too many carp to catch.
Dave, little known fact, and actually the first and only question that's going to involve me, as any good interview doesn't involve themselves today. I think you were the first guy in the fishing industry that I ever went out and did something with on the bank, which I guess is 15 odd years ago. Do you remember the day?
I do. I remember you coming out in them earlier years. I think it was advanced carp, and the session that sticks in my head most, and I think I know you're going to know the one I'm talking about. We was over Walthamstow, and I was playing a fish, and you went, Dave, I really want to get a netting shot, and there's a fish in there they used to call, I think it was something like Father Ted. It's a mid-30 linear, and it's a really like one everyone wants to catch. And as it came up to the net, you said, hold it there, and the hook popped out. I've never forgiven you for that.
You took it well from memory.
I did, but subconsciously, I hate you.
Well, I hope in the intervening 15 years you found it in your heart to forgive me.
I haven't.
Because on the day you barely broke your stride.
Yeah.
I remember it falling off, and that was the first time I'd ever been out on the bank with a camera in my hand. And you were a really good person to start. I think it was for a thing that we used to do called session diaries.
Yeah.
And you were very tolerant and patient, and I think you caught another 220s that day.
I did, yeah, I remember, yeah. And the mad thing was, I remember that fish falling off, and the next one was really well hooked and come in. It was a recapture, and I thought, how can I get that hook hold on that other fish, you know?
Fishing down from the Tea Party 1?
Tea Party 2 out onto the island area, wasn't it? Yeah.
No, you were catching them.
Was it just
down to the right?
Yeah,
they were bobbing out like seals in the corner. Sort of quite bouldery around the margins, and you were flicking down the old. From memory, it was peach, sort of like tangy peach,
Nash bait,
little plug of foam in it, like simple
right,
rigs. Yeah. And I suppose in a way that had been. Were you about to move off Walthamstow? I think you were. I think that was the last of it, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'd gone back to fish a winter. I think I'd come off there a couple of years. And, sorry, pardon me. I went back and I fished the 2 and 3 through the winter, and I had a really good winter on there. And I think we were going to cover it as a magazine. We're going to go back in, and that day we had 2 or 3 fish, like so. But it's funny you should say it, Rich. I used to always get the brand new guy. Like literally, I think I might have had James Armstrong as well on his first ever one. I used to always get the new guy. I must have been easy on you, you know what I mean?
Yeah, nice guy. And caught him. And the Stowe thing, was it the previous winter? I think the previous winter you'd had the big hits out of the 2 between the islands.
The 2 and 3, yeah. I'd done well out on it in the winter.
And we were just chatting before the cameras rolled about the Walthamstow fish, and we were flicking through a few pictures, and undoubtedly those fish were just a unique breed, weren't they?
They were, yeah. They were phenomenal. And I said to you, Richard, at the time, we didn't realise how good a fish we were catching, because they were all good. Every single carp you caught was an absolute perler. And these days, there'd be target fishing waters. There'd be the old ones, or the originals, as they'd call them. But everything was an original. They were all old, big plated scales on them, linears, fully scaled, big commons. And at the time, 30-pound fish was still really big fish, and there was a good head of 30-pound fish throughout that complex.
It's such an interesting form of fishing as well, Dave. I think we'll concentrate on this initially, but I mean, clearly you have a vast wealth of fishing that we could pick out.
Yeah.
And undoubtedly we'll go back and have a little think about what it was like to turn up on Yateley as a teenager or whatever you were. But let's stick with the Stowe for the minute. because it was so fascinating. And also a lot of those waters, I think, peaked at different times, so you could kind of keep rolling from one to another, couldn't you?
Yeah, well, funny enough, when I first fished there, Rich, I was fishing on Darenth, and Darenth probably had, I don't know, maybe 10 30s at the right time of the year. And I was sat there, and this guy's come along one day, and he said, there's this place called Walthamstow Reservoirs, and the guy's just had 11 30s in a year. And we was like, what the fuck? Like, 11 in a year? And that was it. And I remember going to find them, and I must have gone the longest way ever. Drove all through Dagenham, and got there and thought, God, it's a bit of a chore for a day only water, you know what I mean? But the next year I thought I'll do it, and obviously found a quicker way to the reses. It was about 40 minutes, and yeah, started fishing them. But absolutely mega place. But the mad thing was when we got there, everyone was fishing bright hook baits, moving around, see a fish. If you saw a fish on there and you didn't move on it, 2 other guys already had, you know what I mean? And the first person I ever bumped into was Nicky Onslow.